everyone, join me as I show you how to use our treasure box for this April and create some really great fun earrings featuring the leaves that were in the box along with some floral wire techniques. And these are kind of a French wire technique. If you want any of the materials or want to subscribe, go ahead and look below the video. In the description there, we'll put links to get back to the website so you can gather all the materials you need to create. Gather everything up on your bead on it board and let's get started. So to begin this project of these pretty cascading kind of leaf earrings, which can easily be turned into a pendant or anything like that, we are going to be using some wire. And French floral technique is going to be this spinning of wire to kind of hold the beads in place, usually using about a 30 or a 28 gauge. We're going to be using a 26, a 28 gauge wire. One of those will work, and about 20 inches for each one of your earrings. I have that 20 inches cut down into two pieces of 10. And the 10 inches of wire are going to be used, both of them, on one earring. So 20 on this one, 20 inches approximately on this one. Now, if you are doing earrings, I would suggest as we're doing this, you do one and then the other one right next to it to make them similar. I did this one during a Facebook Live technique showing all of the fun things that you get in this month's treasure box. And these just sang and spoke to me to bring them out. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this wire and bend it slightly in half, make the camera a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit wider range. I'm going to slide on one of my leaves. And these leaves are 25 by 15 millimeter. You can certainly use any style front facing or hole through the middle that you want. And we're going to start a simple twist design. I have the wire approximately equal on each side. I'm going to cross it over itself just like if we were doing a briolette. And I'm going to simply turn the wire, pulling it in towards the pendant, making that bail a little bit smaller. We're going to do this a second time as well with another piece of wire after the first. The first thing we're going to do is separate one wire to one side and one wire to the other side. I'm going to make these different lengths to make it kind of artistic, but you can certainly do these all the same length if you want. I'm taking a 4 millimeter Peridot bicone, dropping it onto the wire, kind of holding it in the middle of the wire there, and bending one of the wires over top of itself. I'm doing this all with my hands, and I'm just going to simply hold the wire there, and you can see where I'm holding it is kind of where it stops, and I'm twisting the wire to hold the bead in place. The more you twist, the tighter that twist is going to become. The less twists, the looser it's going to be. I'm going to take that wire and bend it back towards the top, and now the wire on the other side I'm going to make a little bit longer, but doing the same technique. Placing on the bicone. I'm going to let it drop down back towards the leaf. And this time use about a good ½ an inch. Bend the wire back upon itself, which automatically is going to make one side longer than the other. And same thing here, just start to twist. Now, if you do not have the hand strength for this, you can certainly go in. I would recommend your round nose plier. You hold right above and start to turn. You can overturn, so just be careful. You don't want to overturn because then sometimes your wire can snap. At this point here, I'm going to grab both of my wires, bringing them towards the top. And this is just a personal preference. I'm going to drop on one of the seed beads. And then I'm going to repeat the design. So I'm going to bring one over to the left, one over to the right. And this time I'm going to do the opposite. So the one that's on the right now, I'm going to go shorter. And the one that's on the left, I'm going to go longer. So they kind of mirror image each other, but they're not the exact same. Same thing here, going in, bending the wire over. Trying to keep the bead straight is always a nice thing, but not necessary. I'm going in and doing that turn as well. Once that turn is done, that wire goes towards the top. I rotate it in my hand and flip it just because it's easier for me to twist with my right hand. Go over to this side, and this time give myself that little bit more length and start to twist. Now, obviously, as you twist, it's going to get a little bit shorter because that wire is getting twisted. It's getting a little bit shorter as you go. And there you have it. When I get the wires to the top now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put on one of my beads from my treasure box, which is just this beautiful 6 millimeter faceted rosaline bead. The wires are going to go then towards the back, bending them backwards, and I'm going to do just a regular old loop. So I'm going over top of the round nose pliers till it touches the bead with both wires, switching from that top jaw to the bottom jaw. And if you ever need help, making a coiled eye pin. We've got lots of videos on those. And once I have that loop, I'm going to take the wire and twist it around the top of the piece. Now you can see one wire is longer. So I'm going to use that to do one more bead and one more section. This one here that's shorter, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to take it down, wrap it around the bead towards the front, and this thin wire is really forgiving. So the shorter piece here, we're just going to kind of tuck around, get rid of. You can take your round nose pliers, you can take your needle nose plier, just kind of wrap it around the piece, and you can push it down tight so that way you don't see any extra wire sticking up. The one that's here, I'm going to do one more bead. So I'm going to go in here, pick one more peridot bead, putting it off to the side there, turning about halfway, so there's just a little bit left to bend, and once again, doing that twisting technique. Once you're done with that twisting technique, you have a little bit of wire there. Same thing like we did with the other piece. I'm just wrapping around one time around the top here. Now I can bend these wires and say this is exactly the way that I want it to be, and I can bend these wires down and twist them all around and have it nice and airy, but I want to make it a little bit fuller. So to make it fuller, I'm going to take my second piece of wire and basically repeat the same thing. This time I'm going to add some of my 80 seed beads in that Duracoat tea rose color, wiggling that through there, bringing the wire out towards the top, making those wires even. I'm going to bring them to the back of the design. And once again, do that twist. Now, right now they're in the back of the design, but I will bring them kind of towards the front and wrap it around too. This wire just acts as a repeat. When I repeat this wire, I'm going to change up the design a little bit, and maybe I'll use an 80 and a peridot and still do the exact same thing. Going in here, taking that wire, pushing it towards the front of the design now, towards the back. You can say, well, couldn't I start out with 40 inches? You can, and bring the wire down. This wire was thin enough to go through the hole of the leaf 2 times, so I separated it. And now this one here, if I want to, I can bend in front and have it start to turn in the design. Bringing this wire kind of towards the left. I'm just going to bring it back up towards the front. Do the same thing over here. Do an 80, maybe 2 80s along with a 4 millimeter, getting a little bit of color down there. Do the same thing, bending the wire in half towards the front, and then just going in and doing that French wire technique. And when you turn this, the more that you do it, the nicer your turns will get and the nicer they'll be. And you can kind of see exactly where you're turning and what the look is that you're getting. When you bring those wires to the front, this is now kind of stabilizing them, making them almost part of that front wire design. You can take them and wrap them around once if you want towards the back. I'm going to do 2 more collections of beads here. You can see one I did just the plain 80 seed bead. Just dropping that down. And then the very last thing I'll do is go in and bend the wires into that cascading look. When you are bending the wire like this and you're using that 26 gauge wire, it makes it firmer as you're bending. So keep that in mind. You're like, oh, this wire seems like really thin as I'm pulling it. But as you're twisting it around itself, it's actually firming it up. I'm going to wrap this once around here. Do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got one more of my color that I'm going to add. I'm going to put a peridot one here, and then I'm going to add one of my 80s. And I'll show you kind of how you separate it. You can take your wire if you want to then and separate them out. So bend it back. You'll do some twists. 1, 2. You can always add the bead on the secondary wire too. That separates it out. Move that bead along. And then we're going to bend after the bead as well too. So one bead is going to be in the design and one bead is at the end of the design. Once I'm done here and I say, yeah, okay, maybe this is it and I don't want too many more, I'll do one more peridot here at the top. You get to really have fun and play around with the wire design. So here we've got one more peridot that we're adding. And it really is as simple as twisting. You can see we're doing this all as one clip because it's so easy. And then here at the top, what are we going to do with these wires? We're going to bend them to the back. We can bend them around the project if we want to. Here you can see I kind of did a little bit of a cap or a cone, which I'm going to just bend around here. This wire is so thin and forgiving, but you also need to remember that because of that, you want to stabilize this and get rid of any extra wire that's showing. Wrapping it around and then pushing it down tight into the design so that way it does not pull up and snag on anything. Now I get to have fun kind of creating that cascading design. So this one I'm going to push over the top here. This one I'll turn a little bit here. These will come down. That one's will curl up a little bit. So see how that wire is super forgiving, getting that cascading design, kind of pushing them however you want to along the side, making them look even, not even, different, and really just having fun with that artsy look of the wires coming down off the leaf. Once you're done here, you need to put on your ear wire. And the ear wires I'm actually going to grab. They were in last month's subscription box. Grab that ear wire out of the top here. Bend it open to the side. Slide that wire loop on. And if the wire loop was sitting to the side and not to the front, you simply twist it halfway so it sits to the front. And now we have these beautiful artsy cascaded wire earrings with this fun vintagey look of our check glass. And notice how one leaf goes one way, one leaf goes the other. There's no really front or back, but I do like to pull everything towards the front for the design. Super easy floral design, twisting wire, and getting that cascading look while using all just 2 pieces of some thin gauge wire and the things that were already in your box. Thanks so much for watching this fun little French floral wire technique working with the drop leaves. Remember, if you want to subscribe to the treasure box to get inspiration like this every month, go ahead and look below the video in the description. We'll put a link there that you can subscribe and get everything that you need. As always, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see what you guys do kind of twisting the wire in that French floral technique and post it in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.